Jump into any of the shows? Call Tide 100.9 right now at 205-342-9904.
Will somebody answer that damn phone?
That's 205-342-9904. HD2 Northport, Tide 100.9. Tuscaloosa weather 100.9. Streaming on the Tide HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. A Town Square media station.
One man to beat, you can forget about it. Touchdown, Alabama.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show can also be seen and heard and viewed on the Martin Houston Radio Network at Martin Houston Speaks. It is a beautiful morning. We're so glad to have you with us this morning. Glad that you got up and Adam with us this morning. Glad to have you as a part of the program. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, to be the difference you want to see in the world today. Got a great show lined up for you. We'll be bringing X in just a moment, but let me set the topics for the day, for the week, really, as we kick things off. Of course, we're coming off of the weekend, and of course, we'll look at the good, the bad, the ugly as we review the Iron Bowl 2022. Alabama with the big win over in-state rival. How you feeling about this team at this point? Of course, you have to look at Bama hoops. Bama hoops had the big weekend. They definitely made a huge impact when it comes to the weekend. And then the questions for the week, who won the weekend? Was this our last time seeing Young, Anderson, and O'Brien? What about college football playoffs? Does Alabama make it? We can talk about Auburn head coach search. Interesting things happening there. Also, you have the questions you can ask in return in regards to Nick Saban. Now that Bryce Young potentially is over, where you ranking him? If he doesn't get into the college football playoffs and take this team to the national championship, are you ranking this team, or are you ranking him any different this morning? And then, of course, we'll start adding recruiting into the show with the big signing day just over 2 weeks away. So lots of things to get to. Won't get to it all today. But definitely a big show to kick things off. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well, sir. Hey, tell me about what you got going on from this weekend. What's going on in your mind, your thought process from this Alabama football team? Nick Saban chastising the Alabama fan base, I guess, is the best way to say it. Talking to him in regards to not talking to him, let me say it a different way. Him talking to us and saying that the fans who were negative have kind of united this team and they rallied together. What are your thoughts on that? Should we have been negative sooner then? Or have you seen anything different about this team overall? So just your thoughts on Nick Saban comments from the weekend, and that the Martin Houston show and other shows like mine, I guess, out there giving fan bases a place to vent, actually caused this team to draw together. So do they owe us a thank you?
Well, maybe it's one of those things, we talked about on Friday, where it's like this team had no internal motivation. Why did it take, fans and media being critical to get these guys to come together and play hard when they should have been doing that all year to begin with? And it's crazy now that, there's a chance for Alabama to sneak back into the college football playoffs, but if they had handled it on the field, we'd be getting ready to play Georgia on Saturday.
Yeah. So, Joe, what are your thoughts of Nick Saban? I guess in some ways he was thanking the fans, backhandedly thanking the fans, but at the same time saying this program wasn't built on negativity, it was built on positivity. What are your thoughts of Nick Saban's comments from his presser regarding this fan base and us being negative, but that drawing this team closer together?
I don't know, Martin. I think it was maybe Coach Saban trying to be protective of his players and protective of his programming. At this, as it currently stands, at this moment, I think he really believes that the negativity hurt this team, and so I think that he was trying to set the table for next season and hopefully have a more positive reaction from a lot of fan bases.
So, do you agree with that sentiment? Do you think that the fans had anything to do with the expectations that the fans had? Do you think that they were unreasonable? Do you think the fans generated that anticipation, or was this generated by the program's success and what was coming from the program itself?
I mean, I think the expectations were generated by past accomplishments, and I mean by a mixture of all of them. Past accomplishments, the state of the program. You can evaluate the talent that we thought the program had this year. All of it. But I do think that the fans' unreasonable standard is not a great thing. I think that, you gave up a first down, fire the defensive coordinator. Oh, we didn't score, fire the offensive coordinator. I think that so-and-so missed one block, he sucks. So-and-so missed one tackle, he's terrible. I think that's not necessarily helpful to the program.
Yeah, and I would agree with those sentiments, but as we sit at 10-2, X, I would ask you, should this team, based on what we heard, based on the fact that we had OCs coming back, OC coming back, the DC coming back, we had all of these returning players coming back, and it looked like this team was supposed to be based on talent, returning coordinators, something that hasn't happened in forever on both sides of the ball. No injuries, no major injuries, and no changes by the head coach. Nothing changing about this program. Them adding players. And you look at this season, should the fan base be disappointed with the way this season played out when you look at us sitting at 10-2? Is it unreasonable for this to be a disappointing season based on what you have watched and observed now that the regular season is in the books?
Yes, I think it is perfectly okay to be disappointed with the way this season went. The expectations of this team, you had the returning Heisman Trophy winner, you had the returning player that was seen as the best defensive player and best overall player in the country, and Will Anderson. You returned a lot of depth on defense and a lot of starters there. the weapons that were added with an Eli Riggs, Jermaine Burton of what he was supposed to be, a Jahmyr Gibbs. As you said, the coordinators, you improved your offensive line coach, and then you play extremely undisciplined football, and that's what cost you games and had you in tight situations throughout the year. So yeah, it's definitely easy to say that this year was a disappointment, and it's just the territory that comes with it when you've had the amount of success that Alabama has had over the last 15 years.
Yeah, Joe, I'll let you respond to this. But I guess the biggest question, Joe, is did this team live up to the Bama standard? Forget Alabama, forget fans' expectation. Do you think that the fans have been are anywhere as close as disappointed as what's running around that building when they look back on this season and see where they sit now? Despite even though now people are saying, well, Bama did lose 2 games by only 4 points. How disappointing is this team in what how they ended up and where they sit today? And we'll know for sure where they sit on tomorrow, being that they can look at, just a handful of things that I think were in their control. Sometimes things just out of your control that they could have possibly did differently, starting with the top of the program down.
I'm sure that they're disappointed in themselves when they think back on the season. Absolutely. But the fact of the matter is they're still a top 10 football team, and they still, the 2 games that they lost by a combined 4 points. Yes, you could have done a couple of little things here and there differently or better. But yes, is the Bama standard championship or bust? I guess so, but I think that's ridiculous. I think this was a good football team, just not a great football team. And
why do you think this was a good football team? And why was this team not great? Why did this team fall short?
They're just missing the last 5-10% of focus, missing the last 5-10% of killer instinct. You didn't have that as much as you'd want to see. I kind of would combine those 2 things. I mean, when you talk about penalties and turnovers, that to me that's a lack of focus and killer instinct. So those 2 things combined, that's what hurts you at LSU and at Tennessee.
Yeah, I would definitely say. Were you about to say something next?
No.
Okay. Focus, definitely. Mental focus, I should say. Physicality, I would say. Coaching decisions in key moments let the team down. And then execution. Because the reality of it is, if you take all you want, X and Joe, as bad as the player was, as bad as the players played, as bad as the things were happening, even bad coaching, we still had a chance to make the kick. Could we have helped the kicker against Tennessee? Yes, but we didn't make the kick. And we had a chance to make the play. So I put it on all the above. But, and then here's the thing. I know we said, and our fan base is unrealistic in their expectation, but they're not unrealistic for no reason. It's not like, Texas fans thinking they should be number 1 and win championships when they have been irrelevant since we beat them in 2009, but for the 2009 championship. But it would be just like this. X, think about this. If Chick-fil-A, if there was a talk show about chicken and you went to Chick-fil-A and had a bad experience and everybody saw that on national television, would Chick-fil-A be criticized for not living up to their standard?
Yes, they would.
Yes. And so sports is a national thing. And the reality of it is, I think we go back to Friday when we were talking about motivation and things like that. When you look at it, you have to ask yourself, why did this team need external motivation so much compared to times past? So, and Nick Saban himself even said that the criticism actually helped this team with their motivation. So it's an interesting year. Ironically, Alabama still has the possibility of getting into the playoffs. We'll talk more about that. Like I said, we got questions of the week that we'll deal with all week long. And hey, listen, good, bad, ugly coming up. We got some callers we got to get to. We got comments we have to get to. And also, who was calling plays on Saturday? Did we try out a new offensive coordinator and nobody tell us? Because why? One of my questions for the day, was it too little too late? Did this team get motivated, inspired, and come together too little too late? And did Bill O'Brien ask Joe, did he finally figure out, I have a lot of talent. Let me mix up the play calling. We ran quick pitch sweeps. We ran speed sweeps. We ran tunnel screen. We ran it all. We went deep. Oh my God, consistently. Man, where was that at all year? Anyway, hey, you listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We'll be back on the other side for more conversation. You want to get in on it? 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, roadways looking good on this Monday morning. No active wrecks, no problems or delays. But if you do see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Grab the great deals right now at Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Colorectal cancer doesn't stop for COVID-19. Hello, I'm Dr. Cecilia Brewington. If you are age 45 or older, it's time to return to care and get tested. The government requires insurance companies to cover not only colonoscopy, but a range of tests, including virtual colonoscopy and other less invasive exams. Talk to your doctor about your options today. For more information on virtual colonoscopy, visit radiologyinfo.org.
What child is this that angel host attend? Jesus grew to answer this. John 6:35, I am the bread of life. John 7:38, I am the living water. John 11:25, I am the resurrection and the life. Yes, Jesus says, I am that I am. Believe him and have a Merry Christmas from Taco Casa.
With Black Friday savings at the Home Depot, you'll find top brand kitchen appliances with innovative features that can do more, so your holidays can be more. Ovens with built-in air fryers for baking the perfect cookies. Dishwashers with smart tech to clean everything from bakeware to festive mugs. And high-capacity refrigerators to keep leftovers fresh. Final days to shop Black Friday savings and get up to 30% off, plus instantly save up to $750 on select GE kitchen packages at the Home Depot. Ends November 30th. How doers get more done. Offer valid November 2nd through November 30th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Townsend Nissan is your super savings vehicle dealer right here at home in Tuscaloosa with over 100 pre-owned vehicles in stock and priced for immediate delivery. And yes, if you are looking for a new Nissan, we have trucks arriving weekly with new inventory for your buying pleasure. And yes, Townsend Nissan offers bank rates as low as 1.9% and up to 90 days until your first payment. And yes, Townsend Nissan wants to buy or trade for your vehicle today. And yes, Townsend Nissan is the home of the lifetime warranty on new Nissans and most pre-owned vehicles. Shop TownsendNissan.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Sky partly to mostly sunny today, the high 67. Tonight fair with a low at 45. Tomorrow morning sunshine, clouds increasing late in the day. Thunderstorms arrive tomorrow night. Those storms could be strong to severe, the high 69. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 41 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at southmarkdesign.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. We definitely have a great show lined up for you today. Want to get you in on the conversation. 205-342-9904. The Alabama One hotline is open for business. We definitely saw some new things from Bill O'Brien and this offense. Was it too little, too late? Was this our last time seeing O'Brien, Young, Anderson, and maybe others in a crimson uniform? Curtis Lewis said, hey, there's no hopes of making the college football playoffs. You can't say no hope because everybody that plays could lose, and we saw how quickly the sentiment changed. We don't know if the playoff committee feels the same way as the rest of America, but Ohio State losing the way they did before the game was a shoe-in. No matter what they did, they said they were a shoe-in if they lost, but they got hammered on their home field. And they're not saying that Michigan and Georgia are a shoe-in. If a 3-loss LSU team beats Georgia, are they a lock? Probably so, based on where the rest of college football is. If a Purdue team beats Michigan, are they a lock? Maybe, maybe not. So what is Alabama's hope? USC having 2 losses. That's one thing for Alabama to hope for, is that Utah can do a repeat. If Utah does a repeat X, and Alabama is ranked number 5, does Alabama get in? Because USC is probably going to be the number 4 team in the land, and it'll be between 5 and 6 Alabama to figure out exactly who gets that 4th spot. And hey, what if TCU gets spanked by Kansas? Does that help? Who knows? We'll talk about it all week long as Alabama's not playing this weekend, so we'll have to do a whole lot of I hope, I wish for. And then once again, congratulations to Nate Oates on a great weekend representing Bama hoops despite the UConn loss. This team got 2 big, we call them helmet wins, blue blood. I don't know if Michigan State's technically a blue blood, but they have been relevant under Izzo for quite a while. So big wins for Bama on the court despite running out of gas against UConn. Let's get to the Alabama One hotline. We're going to roll through you guys pretty quick this morning. But Pat, thanks for your patience. You're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. First off, let's start with the women. Duke is a blue blood in women's college soccer, and the fact that Alabama has made the College Cup the Final Four in soccer and beat a perennial blue blood, my hat's off to the coach and my hat's off to the women.
Thanks for bringing that up, Pat. Kudos to any Alabama sports that makes it to this level, and kudos to the soccer program, the women's soccer program, for what they've accomplished. Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah.
Nate, go ahead.
Ben Nate Oates, oh my Lord. I was so wore out after the basketball game last night. But first off, to beat Tom Izzo, who was one of Nick Saban's most favorite people with Michigan State, man, what a great win, a top-tier win for Alabama. But then, wow, Nate Oates against North Carolina, ranked number 1 in the country. And to do that in 4 overtimes, I was more slam out. What about y'all?
Go ahead, X.
Yeah, no, that was an intense game, all the way through. And the fact that, this is a very young team, and the fact that, we did it without Brandon Miller playing his best game and having some other guys step up, Quinterly, just an overall team effort. And yes, they had lost a game already, but this was the number 1 team in the country versus a very young Alabama team. And to be able to do that and come out of that tournament 2-1 is very impressive with wins over Michigan State. It was a very competitive game for a while against UConn, and then to come back from that, going 4 overtimes against the number 1 team in the country is extremely impressive and really sets the bar for where I think this basketball team can go.
All right, Pat, Closing thoughts, Pat. I got a couple more calls.
Real quick. Alabama, against Auburn. Wow, but Bryce throwing 50 yards with a bad shoulder looked pretty good to me. And just we can't say enough that Bryce threw 340 something yards, I guess, something like that in that ball game. And phenomenal to 11 different receivers. And where is this being? I don't know. But yeah, Bama at number 5, which I believe is where they're going to be. And it's not over. The fat lady may be tuning up, but she ain't sung. And y'all need to have more faith, okay?
Have a good one, Pat. I think the fat lady's warming up, but she has not sang yet. So we'll see what happens with Alabama in terms of the playoffs and all of that good stuff. Let's go to Chuck, you in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
All right. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was calling you talking about Coach Saban being critical of the fan base. Automatically you expect fans to criticize things, criticize the team. That happened this year. I've seen that happen with coaches. There's kind of some sensitive to that. That happened Alcorn State. Fred McNair, the head coach, that's Steve McNair's older brother, and he on this radio show he became critical of the fans. He became upset with the fan base for criticizing his team, and he got upset. He said, "This is going to be my last show," and it just kind of sometimes it becomes coaching becomes thin skinned at times when it comes to things like the fan base out here on social media. They don't say things and all that, but you had to be the bigger man when it comes to things like that.
Yeah, and, Alabama's expectation are unrealistic, but that I don't think they're unrealistic in a vacuum. Our unrealistic expectations have come from unrealistic success, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Saban has this is the 15th year in a row where we've won 10 or more games. Okay. This is the first time in only the second time in the 8-year history of the playoffs that we didn't get in. This is the first time this early in a season that we had a feeling that we would not be in. So there's a lot of things. So the expectations are not like built on expectations. It's sort of like when you order something. Like I said, if you go to Chick-fil-A, you expect to be greeted with "Welcome to Chick-fil-A." You expect to be greeted with a smile. You expect, even though you will pull up into a Chick-fil-A line in some of the local Chick-fil-A's here in Tuscaloosa and Northport, especially one in Northport. You'll pull up into that line and they can have 30 cars in that parking lot, and you'll still choose to go to Chick-fil-A over McDonald's because they have set an expectation that they will get you out, serve you, and deliver on what you ordered. Well, the fans pay for those tickets, and Nick Saban, like it, love it, or hate it, has set that expectation. So thanks, Chuck. Anything else before I let you go?
Well, saying you talking about Bill O'Brien, I watched the Iron Bowl after I watched the Bayou Classic, and it's something that they woke up all of a sudden with the offense. And like he said, it's too late there. It's kind of like open the case when the cows are gone. And it's that type situation. I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Chuck. Let's go ahead and get to Robert. Alan. I'm sorry, Alan up first. Alan, you're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
All right. Good morning, gentlemen. Well, this weekend I finally got home to see the Alabama-Auburn game. I had a ticket. My son's in the Navy, and he's in law enforcement in the Navy. So
tell him thank you for serving.
I would definitely do that. But when I was looking at the game, I'm looking at Bryce, and he does. I mean, to me, he's still like he's missing passes, or is like his shoulder's still hurting. I mean, like, I understand that he's a competitor and he wants to play. But my question to you is this: does he play? Does him and Will Anderson play in the bowl if we do not get to the Final Four? And also, I got to realize something else. When I've got 2 younger kids at home, and this weekend they were doing something, and I had to get on to them about. But then I had to realize their age, and that makes me go back to the age of the kids that we've got. Sometimes we think these kids are older, and they're still kids. No matter how we look at it, they're still teenagers and young adults, and we got to treat them accordingly sometimes. And we put way too much pressure on them as fans or anything else. And I do it, and everybody else does it, and it's not fair.
Yeah. Hey, and I agree with that, and I'll let Xavier respond to whether we saw him, Will Anderson, Bryce Young, and I'll say Bill O'Brien into that conversation, whether we saw them for the last time representing the Crimson Tide.
My truck is at Bill O'Brien's house right now.
Yeah.
Already back. So don't worry about
but I would say this: what is and Joe, respond to this real quick. Joe, what is Nick Saban's recruiting pitch to these players?
His recruiting pitch is he can get them to the NFL ASAP.
And he get them to the NFL, and they're going to do what? Play for what? Championships and graduate, right? That's what he tells these kids. When they're 16 and 15 and 17 and 18, that's what he tells them. Why does he tell them that? Because every kid he's ever recruited, Allen, has won a national championship that stayed here 3 years or longer. Every single kid. So he creates that, and then the fans expect it, right? And so it's not just the fans that created this monster expectation. I'm going to keep harping on it. Because I tell you what, if the players don't want to play under it and Saban don't want to coach under it and all that, there's other programs, and I guess that's kind of the thought process is, where do you go? Because he's selling that expectation and setting that expectation just based on what he does, how he recruits, what these players expect, and when they don't get the playing time, they're gonna now start transferring, and when they don't play for the championships, they're gonna either check out or start playing for themselves, and the fans are going to be disappointed. That's kind of just where the program is for this season of time until we feel otherwise. And if next year we don't win a championship, it'll be the first recruiting class that stayed 3 years or longer that didn't win a championship. So it's a new place for Alabama potentially. But the other thing they've said is you have to check it out and see what's going on with this team and where they go.
Let me add one more thing before I let you go. Mm-hmm. So are you saying that we are a prisoner of our success?
Yep, and I'll take it. We absolutely, hey, Alan, we are absolutely a prisoner of our success, without a doubt. Respond to Alan about whether or not we've seen these guys for the last time.
I'll tell you, the way that watching that game, the way it ended, watching Bryce as the time ran out and he was walking off the field, and what he said in his interview, if Alabama does not make it into the playoffs, you've seen him for the last time. And I feel the same about Will with some of the comments and statements he made throughout last week heading into the game. These guys, they have left it all on the field, the two of them especially. And they have nothing left to prove. I appreciate them in their 3 years and what they brought to Alabama. They did win a national championship as true freshmen. Will and Bryce's dominance over the last 2 years as they've grown as players, I definitely think we've seen them for the last time, barring Alabama sneaking into the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree with that, most likely. And the way Bryce went off the field, he did everything in his power, I felt like. to show appreciation to the Alabama nation. As I watched him leave the field, I don't think I've ever seen a kid leave the field in that manner. So I felt like, barring some miracle, and Curtis Lewis saying the fat lady is saying took a dress off and taken a seat. I just think that I think we'll know for sure tomorrow. If Ohio State's number 5, then chances of Alabama drops to virtually nil. If Alabama's number 5, then they have a chance, because USC would lose and would have 2 losses, and then you'd have the conversation between Alabama and Ohio State. And if they were ranked before in front of Ohio State, then hey, who knows? And who has time to go back and watch the season and may feel like Alabama could easily be see a path where Alabama's 12-0 and see no path where could be 12-0 because of the way they got beat. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know how this committee does it, but I just hate the fact, and I'll say this, and then I'll bring Robert in on this side, and then we'll go to break. But I hate this side of things, that in college football you have to be perfect or near perfect to be considered one of the better teams. Your record doesn't always indicate who's the best team. I'm not saying Alabama's the best team. I'm just saying the only reason we're saying Ohio State's better than Alabama is because Alabama has 2 losses and Ohio State has 1. So if it was reversed, would we be saying the same thing? Probably. And that's just based off a record, not based on teams playing head to head. So Robert from Mobile, you're in with the Martin Hughes Show with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir? Is Robert still there?
I totally agree with everything you said. There's no chance, I believe, that a 2-loss Alabama team is going to be ahead of a 1-loss Ohio State team. And like you just said, not because Ohio State is better, but because, like the way the things work. And which is why, as you and I, many others have already said, why they need to expand that playoffs a long time ago. And you guys just mentioned about the bowl game. Will Anderson and Bryce Young play? Well, they don't want to play because these bowl games, unfortunately, because of the playoffs, have become meaningless, and nobody really cares about them anymore. All the more reason to expand the playoffs. Going to criticism real quick, and the expectations, like you just said, criticism is either valid or invalid. Valid criticism should always be heeded and taken and see if you can do better, which is what Nick Saban tries to do all the time. Now, if it's invalid criticism, you can ignore it and move on. But the criticism that a lot of fans, including myself, most of that has been towards the coaches and sometimes towards the effort that we see or don't see in the players. It's just valid criticism. It's what it is. Nobody's being unfair when we criticize. And how can you sometimes say, you listen to us, but you don't listen to us? When do you do? When do you don't? And when we praise you too much, you accuse people of rat for it. Well, what do you want?
Yeah.
I think this is more for the teams and the players, and not so much for himself. To try to make them feel better. Well, that's fine. But like I said, again, if you want people to have a better opinion of you, got to play better.
Yeah.
That's just about right.
Yeah.
And like you said, expectations. Expectations are either realistic or unrealistic.
Yeah.
It was totally realistic for this team to win a national championship. So of course you go in there with that expectation.
Well, yeah.
And that's
and here's the question, Robert, and I'll let you go after this. If you look at this year's slate, is this potentially in a while one of the weakest fields for the playoff in the history of the college football playoff? Or is this a stronger field, or is this the weakest field?
It is in that they're stronger in that the top 10 teams have improved, so that makes it stronger. But the top 2-3 teams have come back, so both has happened.
Yeah.
Again, everybody's regressing to. We regressed to the mean, and teams have improved because of name, image, and likeness, because of NIL, which I was telling Ryan and his callers all this time. Why you want this playoff? Because these teams are going to catch up, and we're going to fall back. Which is why you want that playoff expanded. So, yeah, both has happened. That's what bugs us the most. This was an eminently winnable season. Ohio State turned out to be, okay, yeah, we kind of, I didn't think you as much as good as you think you are. Georgia isn't a juggernaut, and TCU's fool's gold. So, yeah, if we had run a good team, it tells you how close we were. If we just had one elite receiver, just one, we win the championship this season. If we had Amari Cooper, we win the championship. We had any of Tua's receivers, we win the championship. That's all Bryce needs right now is one elite receiver. Just one. That's how close we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it. All right. Coming back on the other side, we'll keep the conversation going. Man, the phone lines are fired up, X. So we'll keep rolling with the phone lines. This is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. And as we like to say, it's the sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. We got questions of the week that we'll be hitting all week long. So don't worry, we'll get to those topics we mentioned. We haven't even got to the good, bad, and ugly from the Iron Bowl because the callers are calling, and we'll keep bringing you in. And hey, by the way, good gracious, please don't ever put, according to Jet Cohen, myself, and everybody else, please don't put Bill Walton on another Alabama broadcast. I thought that I hated listening to a game with Vern and Gary. Nope, Bill Walton takes the cake. Wow, that may be the worst color analyst job I think I've ever seen in my life. That would be my bad, ugly, atrocious from the weekend. We'll keep it going right here on the Martin Houston Show. Guys, stay tuned. We'll get you added in on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, roadways looking good on this Monday morning. No active wrecks, no problems or delays. But if you do see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Grab the great deals right now at Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his support to making you a part of their team.
Hurry into Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin and save up to $700. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase. Or shop Tempur-Pedic and save $500 on select adjustable mattress sets. Plus, get a $300 instant gift. Mattresses and bases are in stock for fast delivery. With our Love Your Mattress guarantee, get the lowest price and 120 nights to sleep on it. Only at Mattress Firm. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
We're all about a luxe kind of holiday. That's why at Ulta Beauty, we have all the scents of the season, like fabulous fragrances from YSL, Valentino, and Ariana Grande, plus so much more. And to make things a little sweeter, with a fragrance purchase of $65 or more, you'll get a free plush robe or throw, a $60 value, our treat. Because our kind of holiday is you having your kind of holiday. So don't wait. Visit your local Ulta Beauty or buy online and pick up in store. Ulta Beauty, the possibilities are beautiful.
Tide 100.9 presents A Night with award-winning Elvis tribute artist Jerome Jackson. Friday, December 9th at 7:30. Druid City Music Hall. A night of Elvis's famous Christmas songs, plus some of his biggest hits. Hosted by Steve and DC. Doors open at 6:30. Showtime 7:30. Tickets are $15 on pre-sale. $20 night of the show. Group rates are available. For more details, tap the free Tide 100.9 app.
Thank you very much. Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show, man. There's so much to get to. Who won the weekend? Nate Oates and Bama Hoops won the weekend. You have to give it up to them. You have to give it up to South Carolina in what they did. Their top last 3 games, maybe South Carolina has turned it around under Beams. But you look at that, and then X, I have to give an apology. I have to apologize, Joe. You've heard me say it for years. Jim Harbaugh, I am sorry. I put you in the same category with Jimbo Fisher as the most underrated coach in the world. Maybe Jimbo has taken that title and he's no longer sharing it. I don't know how good Michigan is, but I know that Jim Harbaugh did not go the way of Jimbo Fisher, Les Miles, and others because Jim Harbaugh went out and hired younger defensive coordinators. He's made a modification. Even though they were heavy run, he's recruited quarterbacks who can play the dual threat game, and they showed it Saturday. You lost your best player and your running back who was leading the nation, and you light them up for multiple plays over 70 yards. Jim Harbaugh, I'm sorry. I owe you an apology. Now, whether they get stomped again in the playoffs is yet to be seen. But X, real quick before we get to our next caller, Todd, your thoughts. Jim Harbaugh made the change, made the adjustment, and he's where Saban is right there this year. Is will Saban make the necessary changes like Jim Harbaugh had to do offensively and defensively to become relevant? He went younger.
I really hope so. I mean, it's funny we're saying getting younger at the defensive coordinator position, and our DC is 38, but he's just too. It's not. I think we need to get younger with our offensive coordinator to bring more excitement.
And younger, let me rephrase that. We may not need to be younger in the person being hired, but the approach and philosophy of getting a coordinator who grew up coaching against these style offenses are the guys who seem to be doing a good job. I'm not saying that they or the guys who've made the modification. Let's go ahead and get to the callers, and then we'll wrap up in our 2-minute warning, final thoughts, and we'll keep the show going even over into tomorrow. All right, Todd, you in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, men. 3 quick things here. First thing is I have to confess as well. I had the most wonderful crow this weekend, and it was so yummy just to see Alabama prove me wrong that it was not a 3 or 7 point football game. They came out and played to the best of their ability. It was so lovely and yummy, guys. Second thing is I got to give Nick Saban, man, I want to thank him so much, man. For giving Pop Warner and Little League football a shout out, to let those guys have a little bit of glimmer of hope that some of that offensive stuff that he said that they've seen that they haven't seen in years since Little League football, it worked. And it was fantastic to see that. Lastly, I don't know if you guys seen Cadillac, his post-game interview to hear 4 weeks. Wow. That man, his passion for his team and players and school. Wow. 12 men accepted Christ. 7 got baptized. Oh, Martin, man, that was just, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It's just, to see that news come out, kids going to school where they were defeated and beaten down and just giving up all hope, man. And, man, they played the best they could, but Alabama's clearly the better team. And I enjoyed eating that crow, brother.
Hey, Todd, listen to this. You know that they supposedly are looking at a guy named Brian Johnson. Supposedly Hugh Freeze thing may be smoke screen. Supposedly there's been an upswell from women in writing letters regarding Hugh Freeze and what he did in terms of not wanting him. And they said they're looking at the quarterback coach of the Eagles, Brian Johnson, and he was offensive coordinator with Kyle Trask. So he's undoubtedly a developer of quarterbacks. But I heard the question is, if you're looking at Brian Johnson, who has no head coaching experience but a great track record as a coordinator / quarterback developer, or Cadillac Williams, an Auburn man with 4 games head coaching experience, who you go with?
Right. If I'm Auburn and I'm a Christian and I'm a believer, I'm gonna go Cadillac, guys. To hear that post game interview and him just crying his eyes out there, and just for the love of those young men, and man, I'm gonna tell you what, you get that love on your football team, and those boys, they will play for that man right there.
They definitely played above their head and played better than a 4-win team. Thanks, Dot, and thanks for pointing out the spiritual side of what Cadillac was able to do in such a short time. Great story. Even though the Iron Bowl is a great rivalry, there's still a lot of respect on both sides. So kudos to him, and it'll be interesting to watch and see what this Auburn leadership does in the wake of what we saw Saturday, and the looks of maybe who their top candidates are, may or may not come or be able to come. So we'll keep our eye on that as well. Thanks, Thought. In next, we got Bishop from down in Louisiana. Bishop, you're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, Bishop Houston. Calling to say that it's been a long time that Alabama hadn't had any Louisiana kids starting on defense for them this year. But my question is, what is 42, the linebacker for Alabama?
Moody?
Yes, sir. He's out.
No, he came in later, but he didn't start. I don't know if he
Sean Murphy.
Huh?
That was Sean Murphy that came in.
Moody didn't come in?
No, that was Murphy.
Okay. I thought I saw 42. I thought I saw him play a couple plays. He did. I knew he didn't start, so I don't know if he's hurt or what happened.
Because I thought this was a middle linebacker game. I mean, it wasn't have to be. You just needed to tackle runners.
Mm-hmm.
Your best plays were 3 runners. And for some reason, I've been saying, I hate to be critical of a young kid, but Tor doesn't like to tackle running backs. He would much rather hold hands. If I was a running back, I'd run all over him. He don't like to tackle running back, especially those that run downhill.
Yeah.
We I know you agree. Where are the linebackers who want to hit somebody, who want to tackle?
Yeah. Curtis Moore II said he saw Moody on the sideline in uniform at the game. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he's suspended or something. I don't know. That is interesting. And hey, listen, if we don't put a spy in there, we kept going to a dime package when they were in third down and long. I'm like, they are going to run a quarterback draw. Put 2 linebackers in, run a nickel, and have a linebacker that spies and one that plays. It was just funny to watch. So, anything else you got for us, Bishop?
Kudos to Eli Ricks, because he looked like he was the most physical player on the field.
All right, kudos to Riggs. Hey, this team is it's an interesting team. And
yes,
like I said, I don't think we're going to get to see them again. I think our college football playoff hopes are slim to none. And I'll let you know on tomorrow if we have any at all after the announcements made. But it's an interesting time for Alabama football. And Curtis Lewis said it best as I let you go, Bishop. He said that he doesn't expect to see Will or Bryce. They've done their job, and the rest of the time is about building for next year, which gets you excited in some ways as an Alabama fan moving into next year. X and Joe, let's make that a question for tomorrow. The reality of it is, if we don't make the playoffs, would you rather see a battle in that bowl game between Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson? Because that's your future. And I think next year's season depends on what we do at quarterback as much as it does anything else. Thanks, Bishop. We appreciate you, man. All right, X, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. You got a closing thoughts. We'll wrap up in this last minute or so, and just combine these last two.
Yeah, great weekend for Alabama sports. The women's soccer team advancing to the Final Four. The football team winning the Iron Bowl in a dominant fashion, getting to see Will Anderson and Bryce Young and all those seniors get to go out on a win like that. And then, of course, the basketball team, as I said earlier, 2-1 in the PK Invitational. Just a great weekend overall for Alabama sports.
Absolutely. And CJ Watson talking about Bama hoops, the fact that this is a young team. Brandon Miller had an off game. The couple guys shot 30%, had injuries. Bama still managed to go against the number one team in 4 overtimes. You would think that this team would only get better as the season goes along. If they continue to improve, Nate Oates may be cooking up something special on the capstone when it comes to basketball. And as we wrap things up, did you see the screen pass, Eggs? We ran a screen pass to the running back, and we ran a tunnel screen. Oh, my God. We did it all Saturday. Was it too little, too late? We'll keep the conversation going all week long right here on the Martin Houston Show. We'll keep we'll add DC into the conversation on tomorrow, and we'll break down the Iron Bowl and look forward to college football playoff predictions and more right on the Martin Houston Show. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not in your own understanding, always acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. For Xavier Houston, for Joe Gaither, for Martin Houston, this has been the Martin Houston Show. Roll Tide out there, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center.